For many of those worst affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the period has been characterised by profound change and uncertainty. Welfare at a Social Distance is a major national research project funded by the Economic and Social Research Council as part of the UK Research Innovation's rapid response to COVID-19. In our project, we conducted surveys, in-depth interviews, and local area case studies to understand experiences of the benefit system. As part of this project, we created a comic to share people's first-hand accounts of claiming benefits during the pandemic, and to consider what this tells us about working-age social security today. Before COVID-19, universal credit had a stricter conditionality regime and was less generous. It was also surrounded by a number of controversies. During the pandemic, with 1.8 million new claims for universal credit made in 5 weeks between the end of March and the beginning of April 2020, there was an increase in the generosity and coverage of provision. Stigma and poor knowledge about the process often made people slow or reluctant to engage with the system. For example, Jacob said he didn't think it was for people like him.
I live in quite a nice flat. My mum has a stable income. I have no money, but that's like most graduates. I just thought I won't be eligible for it as it's not designed for me. I thought it would affect where I live. If I claim benefits, then the building I live in would be like, sorry, we don't accept people who are claiming benefits.
Once people were in the system, many experienced it as less stigmatising than they had anticipated.
If you read the media, there's countless stories about how many people are claiming universal credit. It's just become the norm as so many people are struggling. Talking to people I know, they're like, okay, I don't care. I know from my experience of growing up that being on benefits used to be so stigmatised. I hated that, but it really has changed.
Although 40% of universal credit claimants are currently in work, people tend to associate it with unemployment. Furlough appears to have reinforced that perception, because that was viewed as being for workers.
I think terminology can have a stigma. Universal credit implies you haven't got work, whereas furlough implies you have got work, but they don't need you right now.
For many people, the furlough scheme and UC uplift reflect a notion that people claiming since the pandemic are somehow different, that they're more deserving or blameless.
Well, there's certainly a massive percentage more people claiming that are from all walks of life and professions. So yeah, a different scenario than before. You might have got a lot of people that were almost serial claimants before, and now there's been probably a few more million people thrown into the mix. Difficult to put them all in the same bracket. I'm sure there's tons of different types of people with different situations.
A temporary re-stratified system emerged during the first year of the pandemic. At times, this bred a certain amount of resentment from people who lost out under that system.
The narrative is different because historically it was that people who were on benefits are work-shy scumbags, whereas now they bumped up the amount you can get on working tax credits, and I think there's a reason for that. They didn't want people who will vote for them, middle-class, proper people, not the peasants or work-shy, to think that the government wouldn't look after them.
Have social attitudes shifted? Is there greater solidarity? Evidence collected by the WASD project suggests that COVID-19 prompted little change in attitudes towards working-age social security. The data shows that the public believe COVID-19 claimants are more deserving of benefits than pre-pandemic claimants. General welfare attitudes are much more closely tied to perceptions of pre-pandemic claimants than perceptions of COVID-19 claimants, who are seen as, quote, normal people. It would be easy to conclude that despite COVID-19, the public does not want a more generous welfare system. But before the pandemic, attitudes had become more pro-welfare than the UK has been in 30 years. Support for the generous treatment of COVID claimants shows there is scope to climb higher still. There's a window of opportunity for a more generous benefit system if people are ready and willing to seize it. Our findings mean that, first, political leadership matters. The pandemic didn't see a watershed change in attitudes, but did hint at a new normal for how social security can be perceived. It is up to political actors whether this opportunity for change is capitalised upon. And second, benefit adequacy should be a key focus. The pandemic saw a temporary increase in welfare generosity, justified by the exceptional times we found ourselves in. As the cost of living crisis bites, we should seize this moment to seriously rethink what the relationship between benefit levels and living standards should be.